With a former AEW star feeling pushed out of a group and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for July 6th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Talking about the signing of Claudio Castagnoli to AEW, William Regal said this about him on his Gentleman Villain podcast. Absolutely wonderful. Incredible to have him. Not only a part of AEW, but he's one of my favorite people. I think he's one of the greatest professionals of the world. We could do a whole podcast on my admiration for Claudio, and he's a pro through and through. He's incredible. Everything about him, the way he carries himself, what he's gone through, now he's got to this point in his life, just getting to America. I really do think he's quite possibly, when I say the best professional around today, and maybe as much as anybody ever. Former magazine writer for WWE, Brian Solomon, spoke on the Cheap Heat podcast elaborating on his previous tale of interacting with Vince McMahon. Everybody loves the story about when he told me to take my head out of Dave Meltzer's ass. That's kind of a favorite. We were in a board meeting, and we used to have the opportunity, I don't know if you'd call it an opportunity, I'd call it the plight, of having to pitch magazine ideas to him. Why? I don't know. He's the chairman of the company. But I think Shane McMahon took sadistic glee in bringing us up there to pitch to him. And so there was an issue where I'm pitching for various kinds of ideas, and at one point he pretends like he's falling asleep in front of the board members. We wanted to do an article on the greatest steel cage matches. He sees that as Meltzer thinking, like he cares about match quality, but for him the storyline is paramount. He doesn't like the way that Meltzer will take a match and surgically remove it from the angle and just study it by itself, like this match without the context. For him, the context is everything. He thought that Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant WrestleMania 3 was the best match. It was better than Savage and Steamboat. Hogan and Andre was the match everybody wanted to see. It was this angle that got everybody excited. It was the colossal confrontation of legends. That's the way he looks at things. So he hates this idea of studying matches like that. Speaking of Vince McMahon, Pat McAfee revealed the WWE chairman's reaction to Israel Adesanya's Undertaker tribute at UFC 276. I'm sitting there and the obvious question is, did you guys know this was coming? Did we just so happen to be here when one of these things happened? I don't think they knew that was coming. I'm not saying they were upset about it though. I think they loved that it was happening. At one point I actually looked at Vince and was like, hey, you should think about doing this. Seems like a pretty cool thing. Got a big pop out of him. I guess Israel is a big WWE fan. We were honored to be over there and got a chance to sit directly behind his corner. Talking to NBC Sports, Steve Fall, former AEW star Marko Stunt, gave his reaction to Christian Cage, mentioning him on Dynamite. I was not let aware. I was not aware it was going to be said or anything, or that my name was going to be thrown out in any context, because it hasn't been since October. To do it in that context, I thought it was kind of lame. It makes sense though in a way. I was part of that group before him, and what he's basically saying is he came in and got me fired. In a story sense, love it. In real life, it is what it is, I guess. When asked if Christian took his spot in the group, Stunt replied, I don't think that he necessarily took my spot, because we are two completely different roles, for sure. I was more of a hype guy, and he is more of like a leader role. He's, I've been here, done this, let me show you how to get to the top type of role, and I think that was cool. I think that was a cool concept, but I do not think that he fit with the group at all. I don't think he added any sort of dynamic. Really what it was him mentoring Jack. That's ultimately the whole goal. They're setting up Jack to do great things and have this great push. I've known he was going to be that from the start. He's one of my best friends. We still talk to the day. He even texted me when it happened, and we talked about it a little bit. Marko had this to say when asked if Christian pushed him out. I think that's where it went for sure, and where it was headed and where it ended up. I don't think it was like that at first. It just happened that way. Christian wanted to work with Jungle Boy, and that was his way in. It just so happened to push me out of the way and wean me out. There is a certain point where you see stuff coming. I knew back in October, not 100% because they hadn't told me anything, but I knew in October that I wasn't going to be there much longer. I knew when my contract was expiring and there was no reason for them to re-sign me. Apparently, WWE Hall of Famer Goldberg is not someone who likes looking back on his matches. When asked if he watched the A&E WWE biography episode on him, he said on the Rich Eisen show, "No, I'll be honest with you. I don't really like to watch anything that I've quote-unquote performed in, but I have seen excerpts, and pardon myself tearing up a little bit, I was quite entertained before I had to turn it off. So, like I said, I don't like to watch anything that I'm in, actually. I'm always quite critical of myself, whether it's a documentary or whether it's a live performance. I'm just that meathead that always likes perfection." Following her successful cash-in on Ronda Rousey to become SmackDown Women's Champion at Money in the Bank, Liv Morgan celebrated on Raw this week, thanking fans in an emotional moment. On Busted Open Radio, Bully Ray called out the segment, saying, "I didn't think it was a strong promo from her, but I will say this, the people were behind her, at first, but then it started to trail off a bit. I believe she was trying to memorize a promo last night. They're never going to hand Liv Morgan a microphone and say, here's 5 minutes, go say whatever the hell you want to say. Unfortunately, when I hear Liv talk last night, I feel like I'm watching somebody who's playing a pro wrestler as opposed to being a pro wrestler. It was previously noted by The Observer that her reign is not expected to be a long one, as Liv could lose the title as soon as SummerSlam to a heel Ronda Rousey. With Wardlow coming into his own as a big star in AEW, many are enamored by his athletic ability given his size. On the Wrestling Classic, Wardlow recalled wanting to become the next Jeff Hardy. "I don't really comprehend how I look. I understand I'm 6'3", I'm 265 pounds, and I look like a Viking comic book character. I feel like people judge me on that, and I think a lot of people, especially in the world of wrestling, assume that I'm some dude that didn't make it as an actor, didn't make it as a professional athlete, didn't make it as a bodybuilder, whatever he was trying to pursue, so he's just giving this a shot. No, I'm just like every 5'5", 160 pound backyarder because I was a 5'5", 160 pound backyarder. I was a runt, bro. I anticipated being the next Jeff Hardy. That was my initial goal in wrestling. So I spent years doing swantons and teaching my body to flip and twist and corkscrew. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna sell my ass off and I'm gonna do really cool stuff. And then I'd blow up during my junior and senior year in high school. Your body, muscle memory, your body still remembers that stuff. So I spent all of these years teaching myself high-flying stuff and then blew up physically. So I'm capable of doing things guys my size shouldn't be capable of. Tonight on Dynamite, Wardlow is set to take on Scorpio Sky for the TNT title in a street fight. In an update on the DUI manslaughter charge against former WWE star Sunny, it's been said that she has been approved for a public defender in Florida, with her next pretrial hearing set for the 11th of August. It was additionally reported, PW insiders learned the state of Pennsylvania issued a delinquency notice to Sytch, informing her that she was now 1,183 days overdue in making payments towards her court costs in relation to her 2015 and 2016 DUI arrest in that state. With penalties, Sytch now owes $4,544.30 to Carbon County in the Keystone State. This would be the third delinquency notice issued to Sytch by Pennsylvania. Sytch last made a payment on May 15, 2020, totaling $120. With her WWE contract set to expire tomorrow, Paige has written a goodbye letter to fans, so here's an excerpt from that. I'll leave on a quick story. Before I came back from my injury in 2017, I probably had the craziest case of anxiety I've ever had. I just kept thinking to myself, like, these people are all going to hate me now. With things having spiraled so out of control and in such a public way in my personal life, I had doubts about whether I still belonged, about whether that connection I made with fans had permanently been lost. And I'll never forget this. As I was getting ready to go out there for my re-debut, Stephanie pulled me aside, and she just held me for a minute. She gave me the biggest, longest hug, and she said, hey, everyone out there loves you. They're going to be excited to see you. You want to know why? Because you're a survivor. You survived, and that means something. So, hold your head up and enjoy this moment. It's yours. Stephanie was right, as usual. I went out there, and it was the most amazing feeling. No one hated me. They were actually glad I was back. I was still Paige. The connection was still there. And in a lot of ways, that story is my time with WWE in a nutshell. It was far from perfect. There were some brutal setbacks. And to be honest, I was a bit of an ass for a couple of years. But I always believed in my will to survive, and in the person I could grow to become. So I wanted to say thanks. I want to thank you all. Truly, anyone who might be reading, from my bosses to my coworkers to my friends to my fans, for the past 11 years, you've let me live out my dreams. More living to come. I'll see you down the road. Soraya. Given the investigation into Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis over alleged misconduct, it comes as no surprise to hear that WWE executives are selling off stock. Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics noted, WWE disclosed stock sales, WWE CFO Frank Riddick and EP Kevin Dunn made on Thursday and Friday respectively. Riddick disposed of 9,090 WWE shares for $62.49 each, or just over $568,000 in proceeds. He still has 102,021 shares. Dunn sold 16,107 shares for just over $1 million. After her match at Money in the Bank, Shotzi Blackheart was on the receiving end of criticism from fans, which led to her deleting Twitter. She has now updated those concerned about her writing. I appreciate everyone checking on me, but I swear I'm fine. I've been going through the toughest year of my personal life, so it's deeper than nasty comments. But also, Twitter has not helped with my fragile mind state. Just trying to stay motivated and positive. I'm focused on my own goals and not what's on the internet. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.